Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Aquarian, and happy new moon in Leo. It should be happening today on the East Coast at about 3:10 p.m. And happy Leo season. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should check out my latest post for Leo season and for the new moon in Leo. But for Leo season, I did color palettes and mood boards for each sign, and it seems to be a pretty big hit. And I'd love to hear what you all think if you go check out your sign. So I know I've said my placements before to all of you on some episode, but I'll repeat my placements. I am a Leo rising, a Libra sun, and an Aries moon. And I say that because, and there's plenty of other placements in me that would constitute what I'm about to say, but I have a tendency to push away anything that I find to be repetitive, right? So especially with my Aries moon, I can't do things the way that other people are doing things. It gets me really annoyed with myself or annoyed with what's being put out there, because there's plenty of people talking about the new moon, especially like a Leo new moon, as courageous and brave and flaunting yourself and knowing who you are and feeling good about who you are. And that's not wrong. It's definitely not wrong. But that's a very general idea of what Leo means, what new moon means. And I've been thinking about it, and instead of, trying to stay with whatever is popular, I'm going to talk about it in the way that I want to talk about it. Let's go back over what we know about a new moon. The new moon is when the sun and the moon meet in the sky. This also happens during eclipse season. But outside of eclipse season, the moon is not in the same path as the sun. So there isn't a portion of the sun that's blocked out. But nevertheless, it is every 28 days, the moon reaches the sun and we have a new moon. And that is the beginning of something new. Seeds are planted, intentions are planted, manifestations are, vision boarded, and everything is a bit more awake and alive. Awake and alive in kind of a sense that anything's possible, because everything is dark. The universe was born in darkness. There was no light, just void. And when we talk about a full moon, we're talking about the culmination of something. So that's what we see at the end. It's the end result. Sort of like if you've completed something really great in your life and you show it off to everybody and they all think it's amazing, because we all love the full moon. We think it's amazing, but we may not know how much energy, time, consistency, discipline it took for you to get to that full moon. So collectively speaking, the new moon is intention settings, planting seeds. That's why it's that way, is because it's a visual representation of the void, of the thin veil between our realm and another. The metaphors could go on, but that's the whole purpose of all of us putting our intentions into a new moon. Now, it gets more and more specific when we talk about the zodiac sign, when we talk about the placement of the new moon in your natal chart. And what I mean by that is when you hear your favorite astrologer talk about new moons, full moons, changing of signs, retrogrades, and how it's going to affect you, they're usually talking to your rising sign, because your rising sign is what tells an astrologer where something is going to play out in your life. So if I'm a Leo rising and this new moon is in Leo, if you didn't know my degrees and you were just going by whole sign, which means every house starts with 0 degrees of a zodiac sign, so I would be 0 degrees Leo, then that means that the new moon, would be in my first house. If you were an Aquarian rising, that would mean that the new moon was happening in your 7th house, because it all goes by where the zodiac is placed around your chart. But I say all of this so that you understand why you're hearing what you're hearing, and also just to give you a little, just a little bit of what other people are talking about and why they're talking about it, so that I can kind of deviate, because I think that you can find this information everywhere. I put it on my Instagram. You probably are following 3 or 4 people that you want to hear these things from. And I think that's amazing. I follow so many people that I want to hear these things from. But I want to talk about the sign of Leo. I want to talk about what is important in this new moon for the psyche and for the heart and the soul. And I want you to understand Leo a little bit better, because we have a tendency to generalize all zodiacs. Virgos are clean. Libras are flirtatious, Sagittarians are explorers, Leos are dramatic, and all of this is fair, but it's not terribly deep. So let's first talk about the sign of Leo. And that means that we have to address the 2 fundamental building blocks of Leo, which is the element fire and the modality of fixed. Fire is all about passion, dynamic expression, love, bravery, excitement, enthusiasm. You can keep going on. The list goes on. But this is all fire signs. There's Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So that is the definition for all 3 of them. What makes this fire sign unique of the 3 is that it's the modality fixed. It's the only one of the 3 that is fixed. Fixed signs, there's 4 fixed signs in the zodiac, and they are Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio. They all are focused on the future. So what that means in terms of modality is the future is what's being perpetuated, right? I want this forever. I want to do this forever. I want to keep going forever. They are the most susceptible to an identity crisis if they don't have a goal, if they don't feel like they're going somewhere in life and they know that that's the direction that they're going in. So Leos in particular, if they don't feel that they have a performance that they want to continue, then they will oftentimes feel like they're in an identity crisis. Leo suns, because we did just enter Leo season. We are at a new moon, so the sun and the moon are both in Leo. And it's important to talk about both of them. So the sun is what you're becoming in this lifetime. It's the sometimes challenges that you've had to overcome in order to become this person. It's the mentors that you have in your life, the integrity that you have cultivated, the decisions about yourself that are non-negotiables. Like something for a Libra would be, I have an integrity of honesty, right? I had to make that decision based off of what I want to be in the world. So Leos are, I want to perform, and I want to perform well, and I also enjoy performing under pressure. Now, when I say perform, maybe a lot of you are thinking about a stage. That is not true. There are plenty of zodiac signs that are on the stage. So it clearly can't just be Leos that are performance artists. Performance is anything at all that you have to do in front of other people. So this could be anywhere from public speaking to building yourself towards the Olympics to, any kind of sport that requires an audience. There's a really famous Leo named Alex Honnold, and he was the main focus of a documentary called free solo. And he's amazing. He is such an incredible look at Leo, because most of his career is completely by himself. If he has another person there, it's because that person is also doing what he's doing. And what he does is he's a mountain climber, he's a rock climber. And Nat Geo did I'm pretty sure it's Nat Geo, or it might have been just Jimmy Chin, who's a documentary filmmaker. But they documented his journey to climbing El Capitan in Yellowstone National Park. But it took years to get up to this point, right? You kind of look at people like Alex Honnold and you're like, wow, how did you just shimmy up that whole side of the mountain with absolutely no ropes? And how did you do that? Like, is that just some sort of magic, And that's kind of Leo's nature. It's not that moment, the performance of it wasn't the climax of this documentary, but the documentary was about the more new moon aspect of this, which is everything leading up to that moment. He spent years playing that side of the mountain like a chess game, always wearing ropes, going back to certain spots and perfecting them, all to get to this point of doing it without ropes. Why? Who knows? He's driven by his goal, which is, again, the fixed sign. He's driven towards what he wants, period. Whether anybody saw him or not, he would have done that because he's been doing this, whether anybody's watched him or not. So this is what I mean by Leo performance isn't always just drama and being on stage in front of other people. It's much more about being yourself and being driven by your soul mission. Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun is the most important planet in your natal chart, period. Astrologers will argue sometimes that the ruler of your whole chart is either equal to, if not a little bit more important, meaning whatever your rising sign is, that whatever planet rules your rising sign, that is the most important planet. But I would lean towards the sun simply because if we had no sun, there wouldn't even be a solar system at all, So Leo wants to express itself as itself. And that can be a little hard for people to understand if you don't either have prominent Leo placements or you don't have a lot of planets in your fifth house, which is also resonant with Leo, as it is following your right to be alive and to express yourself into the world as you wish. If you don't have a lot of Leo placements, or if you don't have any Leo placements that you can bring to mind, what you might be missing in your life is that sense of individuality in terms of your self-expression. So you might be more involved in things based off of resources or family duties or educational pursuits or group activities. I can go on, but if you're a Leo, you want to do what you want to do. You want to express how you want to express. You want to feel the beautiful rush of feeling alive, which is in the heart. And as a Leo sun, that is what you're becoming in this lifetime. So the challenges that you've faced have been to overcome stage fright or overcome questions like, why would I want this? What is so important about me? You might have to overcome your desire to be in the spotlight all of the time in the sense of like, I'm the most popular person, or not popular. I think maybe that's more about Libra, but because Libra wants to be liked. But Leo, it's more like, I am the one that you won't forget. I am the clown or the class clown, or I am the athlete. I am the, right? It's a little different than Aries, which is I am, but I am this kind of performance. I'm the leader, right? So the moon is a little bit different. The moon is about where you've come from and your reaction to things and the things you think about that you don't realize are thoughts. You just are thinking And maybe these are like the thoughts that you think other people think, or that you're just not aware you're operating from. So it's the past, right? It's where you grew up. It's your family ties. It's a lot of times where you feel the most uncomfortable, or where you feel like you need to find safety. And if you have a Leo moon, a lot of times you are uncomfortable when you feel invisible, when you feel like you aren't seen as a star. And that can be altered or made to feel different if certain other aspects are touching your moon, say a square from Saturn or a trine from Venus or an opposition from Mars. But standing alone, Leo, again, is fixed. That never changes. We're just changing the planet, or in this case, the luminary. So Leo is never without the desire to be seen or the desire to express itself. It's just now playing out in the moon. And the moon, again, is more about how you react to things, not necessarily what you're trying to become or what your sun or your light is becoming. So on top of that, you got to think about it like the moon is in Leo, but Leo is ruled by the sun. So even though the moon obviously has such a powerful effect on us, and in Leo is a powerful effect, it still goes back to the sun because that's its ruler. So it's doubling down on the idea that one should be seen, one should be celebrated. And if, resonating from the moon, that's an easier way maybe of looking at how the moon differentiates from the sun. The sun is this active quality, this vitality. I feel the best. I feel aligned. I'm at one with my life when I express my sun. And if my sun is in Leo, then I feel aligned and at one with my life if I am able to express who I am and what I bring to this lifetime. But in the moon, it's a reaction. I am reacting to my environment as a person who's concerned, that's another great word for the moon, concerned with my light. I'm concerned if people see my light. If they don't see my light, I react in an aggressive way because fire signs are aggressive. Moderate aggression. I'm not talking about aggression as in physical violence or anything like that, but you can defend your boundaries aggressively. And sometimes people need that. They need to know where they crossed a line. And fire and moons are pretty good at that. So where you bite like a lion, where you claw at someone, is when they act like they didn't see you, when they act like you're not special. And with fixed signs as well, they can get very fixated, just like Alex Honnold, fixated on a mountain, just like anybody slighted, fixated on who slighted them. Right? And then it's about the future, again, because fixed is the future. So now your new goal is going to be, I need to always shine. My reaction, I'm staying in the moon here, my reaction to life now is that if I don't shine, I'll be invisible. If I don't step into the spotlight, no one will see me. So that's why you'll see a lot of Leo moons also needing to perform similar to a sun in Leo in some way, because Leo goes back to the sun. And it's also a natural proclivity. It's a natural desire to be witnessed. And there might be plenty of other placements in your chart, if you have a Leo moon, that speak to how much you want to be invisible in some way or how you don't want to be perceived. But Leo moons specifically will always want to be perceived. It might be a tug of war, like I said, and it might be hard for you to accept, but at the root of a lot of maybe your struggle or your sense of discomfort is that you want to be in some way, shape, or form celebrated for being yourself. So that was just a conversation on Leo in particular, and then Leo if it was in a sun placement or a moon placement, because not all Leo moons are new moons, and not all sun in Leo or moon in Leo people are extroverted and out there and making themselves be seen by everybody. You know, it really is about the desire to perform well, but in a role, be it job or personality or archetype, whatever it is that you step into as an extension of yourself or as a part of your multidimensionality, that you do that well. That is the biggest deal with Leo, is that you do it well. Let me leave you all with some things to think about for this new moon and where you might want to focus, because that's the beauty of the cyclical process of the moon. We have a specific intentions that we can look at this time. And whether you find that magical or systematic, it doesn't matter. These are important things to think about, and we are at the Leo new moon, so we are going to think about those things. The first thing I want you to think about is the difference between specialness and arrogance. They are two very different things. However, they get lumped together quite often by people who want to continuously repress others and by people who are trying to gain some sort of spiritual superiority. Specialness is simply a right. Not everybody may find you special, but it does make life so much more exciting and enjoyable when certain people do. Your parents would be great. That's not always the case, but your best friend knows that you're special. Your partner knows you're special. Your pet knows you're special. Your job may know you're special. And if nothing in your life makes you feel special, then that's a little bit of a problem. That might be something that you want to address. Maybe it is a performance issue. Maybe you don't let yourself express yourself enough for anybody to see your specialness. Maybe you need to go to karaoke night once a week. Maybe you need to do a skincare routine that makes your skin glow and that you feel proud to show. It's something about pride that is involved in specialness that is more for the sake of your own experience here rather than constantly worrying about what other people think of your experience here, which is the idea that people will find you arrogant if you lead with something that's special about yourself or if you embrace something that's special about yourself. Specialness definitely doesn't have to be a commodity. It is for some people, especially if they are artists. But that is not exclusive to them. Specialness, as I said, is believing that you are meant to be here and that you are allowed to have a life where who you are isn't necessarily up for question all of the time. It's not something you have to reflect on all of the time, especially if you're listening to podcasts like mine that tend to be, using a microscope to look at the psyche and the soul to help us progress along this 5D evolutionary time span of a short life. Sometimes you just want to live the life, right? And you have to accept that you are a special star here and that whatever you want to express is what you want to express. Even if it doesn't get to a place where, like Alex Honnold, you are climbing up El Capitan, it can just be an expression of enjoyment, of love, of sincerity. The second thing I want you to think about is how much you expect other people to behave the way you want them to. And this can be from anything to do with a loved one who just isn't living up to something that you feel that they should live up to, a coworker who is not doing the job the way that you would want them to people who haven't treated you well, and now you want to adjust their behavior. A lot of that is the energy of Leo, which is my way or the highway, my ideas, my performance, my shine, my light, or nothing. Especially when we feel we're right, or we feel like who we are was slighted in some way, or made to feel invisible, made to be nothing. You want to adjust someone else's behavior. But unfortunately, they're a light too. They're a star too. They have their own specialness. They have their own needs. They have their own wants. And sometimes you just got to find either similar lights, or you have to accept that not everybody needs and wants and feels the same way that you do. And that's the incredible part about being alive as well, is that we're all here together, whether we like it or not. And sometimes you've got to pack it up and walk away. And that's really, really hard for Leos in general, Leo moon especially, because the reaction is, I should have been seen. Why didn't you see me? If you really cared about me, if I don't retaliate, then I am conceding to the fact that I am nothing to you. And that's really, 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 really hard to experience for anybody, not just a Leo moon, to feel discarded or to feel like another person isn't living up or another person isn't performing to the level that you would expect them to perform. But life is not always bendable, as the fixed signs, attest. It's not as flexible as we maybe expect it to be. And this might be a good place for you to either find the good in the other person, or where you think that they're special and amazing and that you're so happy that they express themselves well in this way. Or it may be that walking away from the person or walking away from the situation is in more alignment with you and your performance is needed somewhere else. And it might not be either of those answers, but it's something to think about. I want to wish everyone a happy Leo new moon, and I am excited to continue these podcast episodes and maybe open up new ways of talking about this. And please feel free to send me a text and maybe let me know if you're a Leo new moon or what you thought about this episode, or if there's something you want me to talk about. I'm happy to dive in. And I will see you very soon. Take care, everybody. Blessed be.